Okay, so our lesson will be all about orientation and onboarding of new employees. It is really necessary for us to carefully select employees. However, carefully selecting them doesn't guarantee that they will perform effectively. So, even ang mga high potential nga mga employees, they cannot do their jobs if they don't know what to do or how to do it. That is where orientation and onboarding comes in. So, ang orientation and onboarding, it fixes or it patches the gap between the expectations, no, and the reality. So, making sure your employees do know what to do and how to do it. So, mo na ang importance and purpose of this orientation and training. It's the human resources department who will usually design the company's orientation and training programs. But every managers must know ang need sa atong training, no, of our employees. So, we'll start with orientation. As an overview, employee orientation and training establishes the stage. It establishes the stage for human resource processes and company policies in the organization. It also assists new employees with the tools and information they need to succeed in their jobs. So, na research, they found out that new employees who have undergone a well-structured onboarding orientation, na 82% of them are more likely to remain at a company for more than or up to 3 years. When both parties are able to express what's required of the other, of course, it will reduce misunderstanding and assumptions, no? Because all aspects of the performances have been covered. So, for our learning objectives, first, we will understand onboarding and orientation. Then we will define orientation and know its purpose. We will identify the levels of orientation. We will know the types of onboarding and its levels. We will also determine the degree of onboarding in an organization and know its best practices. So, let's first define or differentiate orientation and onboarding. Who among you have an idea or sa inyong idea, unsa ang inyong idea sa difference ng onboarding and orientation? Unsay kalahian? Unsa inyong perception, no? Si orientation, it involves giving new hires a tour of the building, introducing them to new colleagues and maybe even executives. So, orientation is actually one piece of the onboarding process. Yung new orientation, ang new employee orientation, it takes place usually on the first day of the employment and sometimes it lasts for a few hours or pwedeng whole day. But onboarding for new hires can last for 30, 60, or even 90 days. No? It's a process beginning from the first point of contact with the new employee. So it includes the interview, orientation, training, and probation periods. So by definition, ang onboarding, it is the process of helping new hires adjust to social performance aspects of their new jobs quickly and smoothly. So, sometimes musod kag trabaho, they will say na, ups, we have 7 days of training, onboarding yan. And then, na kay 6 months nga probation period pa lang. And then, after that, pwede na kang ma-regular. No? So, it means nga you will be observed on sa imuhang performance. Para late ba ka? Makaabot ba ka sa kakota? No? One of the most important class nga part of the initial training is the employee orientation process. So, what is orientation nga ba? The length of this orientation program will depend on what you cover. So, let's take a look on its definition. Ang orientation daw, it is defined as a set of activities such as familiarizing new employees with the company rules, policies, and procedures with a view of making the employee well adapted to the work environment. So, When you say orientation, in short, it is a process of introducing these new hires to your company's culture, your hierarchy, their job responsibilities, their co-workers, workplace facilities, and so on. So they said that good employee orientation plans, ang maayo daw nga orientation plan, allows new employees to get to know the very basics. It answers any questions or concerns a new hire may have while reducing the anxiety under a new environment sa company or sa company's policies and employer expectations. So the orientation session will help them assimilate comfortably into their new role. So unsa nga ba specifically ang significance or purpose sa ato ang orientation? So first, it creates an initial favorable impression. On job onboarding, it will require more than just an employee handbook or engaging speaker. It is more on, or it is about making good first impression sa ato ang mga employees. So your employee orientation should make this new hire feel welcome and engaged from day one. No? So good impression it's a big matter, as this new hire may tell their friends about their first day. No? Surely you'd want them to review ang imuhang company or ang imong organization as a pleasant and rewarding experience. So, kesa naman poor and uninspiring one, di ba? So, naay practical tip nga pwede sa mga di pa kayo mga dagkong company. Usually, pag mga dagko na, this won't be applicable. So, practical tip would be to organize a welcome lunch for your new hires to create a sense of belongingness. Moreover, class orientation is important because it enhances interpersonal acceptance. So, make this new employee feel welcome and at home and part of the team, for them to be effective sa ilahang trabaho, and for them to gain a better understanding or for you to gain a better understanding on these candidates' personalities. So you will be able to know their strengths and weaknesses for you to be able to assess whether what type of leadership you should employ to these new hires. Another thing, class, it helps the new recruit adjust himself to the job. So it is important that you make them get acquainted with the information in the facilities. They must be acquainted with the email access, no, personnel policies, or what the employer expects in terms of work behavior. So offer your new hire a map of facilities and the nearby restaurants, as well as glossary of the company's jargons, yung mga words, mga terms. So even in our university, no, during the onboarding of students, we were introduced to different jargons in the new scheme or new interface or new type of learning or e-learning environment. So similarly, introduce them to people that they will be interacting with regularly to facilitate collaboration effectively. So they could be able to collaborate and na ay harmonized teamwork. So another class is you will help sa orientation this new employee understand the organization in a broad sense. So in broad sense, you have to let them know the company's target, the company's vision and mission, the company's culture. So start the person on becoming socialized into the firm's values and ways of doing things. So that's the purposes of orientation. So the question is, whom are the persons responsible for the orientation? So usually in companies, the first responsible persons in charge must be the HR or the Human Resource Department. Diba, upon hiring pa lang, ang imong kaatbang are the HR department. So they will be the one nga responsible also in orienting these new hires, and then making them aware of the rules and regulations. So whether you have a handbook, checklist sa orientation. So later on, I will show you an example nga na ay checklist. No, I've experienced this once. So when I was like 17, I was hired sa McDonald's. So na sila checklist unsay mga dapat for them na ma-avoid ang dili ma-convey nimo ang certain informations. So na-checklist nga dapat na-orient ka na, no, about sa imong responsibilities, about sa organization, about sa mga organizational structure sa mga tao nga nakaposisyon. So pag mulabay sila, you can greet them. So they will orient you sa mga executives nga na positions. So that's the responsibility usually of the HR department. Next class is the direct manager. So direct manager, usually they are the ones who orient you sa imuhang mga job responsibilities, and then itour ka sa department sa imuhang task nga specific. So that's the direct manager or the supervisor, it could be. And lastly, class is executives or founders or owners. Although class, many executives won't play a large role in new employee orientation. But remember that when they get involved to some extent, mas malaki ang impact. I remember in an organization I was into before, I was oriented mismo sa owner. Lahi jud ang impact because lahi ang drive, lahi ang motivation, lahi ang aura nila, no, because they are able to convey ang ilahang mission, ang vision, the reality, why are they pursuing the business, their advocacy. So lahi ang impact sa empleyado. So if they are involved in some extent, no, so dako na siyang issue or dako nga impact di ay rather. So, how orientation programs are presented? There are several ways which orientation could be presented. One of which is through classes, pwedeng meetings, tour of the company offices, and plant films, pwedeng films, employee handbook, information leaflets, slides, and charts. I remember being part of an organization, nga dako nga organization pod. And then, lahi ang ilahang orientation, no? Kaya naay film, and then naay workshop, no? Naay pa yung more quiz. So, you are being, you are part, you will feel that you are part of them through this orientation. And naatay levels of orientation. So, your business will only be successful if you hire the right people and give them the proper training. So, sa orientation, mao na siya ang initial part sa training wherein ilatang i-orient. So, the length depende sa what will you cover. But there are levels of orientation. First is, there are two. The first level is the organizational orientation. Next is the departmental or job orientation. So when we say organizational orientation, mo itong akong giingon ganina nga turno ni usually ni HR department. So this is when they give you an overview of the company, review of the key policies and procedure, compensation, fringe benefits. When we say fringe benefits, kanang mga insurance, mga benefits, safety and accident prevention, or like 13-month pay pa di ay. Then employee and union relations, physical facilities, and economic factors. So traditionally, ang orientation program will take you several hours. Then next class, the next level, which is the departmental and job orientation, this will cover the functions of the department. Imong function diha sa department, your job duties and responsibilities, ang policies and procedures in that specific department, or maybe there could be some specific guidelines in doing the tasks or duties and your responsibilities ang imong communication lines kakinsa ipada imong mga reports and so on. Also, tours sa inyong department and introduction to the department employees. Ayan. So, this is an example of the checklist upon sa orientation. So, this is similar to what I have filled up before sa McDonald's. So, ayan. I-check nila, if human na ka ma-orient sa human resource. This is to make sure nga wala tayong makalimtan nga information. So, na-convey nila tanan. No, na date reviewed. So, na-check boxes sa kilid. So, that is for our orientation. And now, we will proceed to the onboarding. So, orientation is only a part or part of the onboarding. So, sa onboarding, it will help new employees adjust to their jobs by establishing better relationships to increase satisfaction, of course. Then clarifying expectations and the objectives to improve the performance. Ayan. And to provide support to help reduce unwanted turnovers. So, if you have the support and then you meet the expectations, so di sila mohawa. So, gabay ang ato ang turnover. So, there are types of onboarding, the formal and informal. For the formal onboarding class, this will refer to a written set of coordinated policies and procedures that assist an employee in adjusting to his or her new job in terms of both tasks and socialization. So, na ay written set of coordinated policies. So, just like a while ago, na ay checklist, na ay handbook, no? Nga intended for the onboarding. We also have informal onboarding. Informal onboarding refers to the process by which an employee learns about his or her new job without an explicit organizational plan. So usually ang informal onboarding applicable ni sa mga gagmay pa nga mga organization or business venture. So one of the first thing ang HR managers should consider is whether their firm is best served by informal or formal onboarding. Karon class, I will show you the building blocks of successful onboarding. This is which you will remember na dapat inyong tandaan. Nailhan ni siya or gitawag ni siyang 4 C's, upat ka letter C. First is compliance, ang pinaka-basic. Compliance, clarification, culture, and connection. So again, compliance, then clarification, culture, and connection ang highest. So let's discuss each. Ang compliance, it is the lowest. Ayan ha. Lowest level and includes teaching employee basic legal and policy related rules and regulation. Level ni siya sa onboarding wherein the organization do have policies and rules and regulations which are oriented sa mga newly hired employees. Next class, another level is the clarification. This is a level of onboarding which refers to ensuring that employees understand their new jobs and all related expectations. So this could be through questions. This could be through workshop, no? Or like sa inyuhang training, 7 days training. So, diha na to itan-ahon, no? Na clarifications. They will make sure that you are able to grasp the things nga need nimo mahibaw-an sa imuhang trabaho for you to do your job well. Next class is the culture. This is a level of onboarding wherein it is a broader, no? Broader level or a broad category that includes providing the employee with sense of organizational norms, both formal and informal. So, this is where the organization orients the employees about their values, about their culture. And next class is the connection. This refers to the level of onboarding diha sa time nga nagpa-onboard pa ka, wherein the vital interpersonal relationship and information networks that new employees must establish are referred to. Or this is ang interconnection nimo, ang teamwork nimo is gi-enhance sa onboarding. So karon kining 4 levels nga atong timan-an, which is the compliance, clarification, culture, and the highest is the connection. These are employed or makita ni siya sa different degrees, no, of onboarding sa inyong organization. If unsa na mo nga level sa onboarding ang makita sa organization or unsa na nga stage. So what are the degrees of onboarding sa inyong organization? First is this is the degree to which each organization leverages these 4 building blocks. Again, yung compliance, clarification, culture, and connection. So, kini, it's overall boarding strategy, diri na to i-evaluate, no? So, with most firms, they will fall into one of these 3 levels. So, first level or level 1 is the passive onboarding. So, firms engage in passive onboarding kapag some role clarification may be given but neither culture nor connection is addressed. In short, ang company naa pa siya sa stage nga compliance and naay gamay nga clarification pero wala pa culture and connection siyang gi-appeal or gi-focusan sa onboarding. So, almost all organizations naturally cover compliance. Siyempre, kay imo man istorya nila, imo sila i-orient sa upon onboarding ang imuhang mga rules and regulations. So, as part sa imuhang onboarding process. For the firms that engage in passive onboarding or this level 1, some role clarification may be given, pero wala pang culture and connection. So, some informal ways of guiding new employees in terms of culture and connection may be developed over time, pero no one, including the HR staff, is in coordinating the task to maximize onboarding success. No? So if your firm is engaged in passive onboarding, you are likely to view onboarding as a checklist of unrelated tasks to be completed. Kay gamay pa man ang imuhang business. So, research shows nga approximately nasa 30% of the organizations in large, medium, and small enterprises, they work at this level. Passive onboarding, no, can be functional. Pero, certainly, unsystematic pa para nila. So, 30% daw ang naapaani nga level. So, let's proceed to the next level. The high potential onboarding, wherein ang compliance and clarification level sa atong onboarding are well covered by a firm's formal onboarding practices and some culture and connection mechanisms are in place. So when compliance and clarifications are well covered, compliance and clarification nga stage or nga level, so nanana siya sa high potential nga onboarding. So in these organizations, sa studies, 50% of all firms complete this process and has not yet been established in a systematic way pa rin across the organization. So ato tan-aon. Ayan. So sa passive, in terms of compliance and clarification, yes naa, but sa culture and connection, little lang. Sa high potential na sa compliance and clarification, culture and connection, gagmay. Some. But sa pinakataas nga stage, naa jud tay compliance and clarifications and naapoy culture and connection sa ato ang onboarding process. So, that in the third level, sa proactive level, all 4 building blocks are formally addressed in that level 3. So, if your firm is systematically organizing onboarding, no, with a strategic human resource management approach, na you're at level 3. And sa studies, only about 20% lang daw of the organizations achieve this level. So, Sa ato ang university, no? It's proactively na engaged sa atong onboarding. They are compliance, they are observing compliance, they are making sure na there is clarification, and then sa atong mga assessments pa lang and tasks, it is made sure nga na ay clarification. And then ang culture, di ba? Pero may ipa-memorize nato ang core values, the right, RITE, no? Relevance, integrity, truth, and excellence, no? So that is our core values. So that is for the culture. And for our connection, we are being taught, no, to be connected with our also communities, sustainable communities and environment according to our mission and vision statements. So that is for the proactive onboarding. Okay? So onboarding proactive. So ang ato daw onboarding class na ana siya process. So first it will start sa recruitment process, wherein this process will provide you information. Ayan. But it will also help employees nga to form realistic expectations and engage in coping mechanisms sa imong organization. Next class is the realistic job preview. So, sa orientation usually good impression ang ato ang target. Pero diri sa realistic job preview, we will give them a glimpse of your culture. Para kahibaw sila or the newly hired employees sa ilahang may expect or magpadayon pa ba sila or dili na. So you can give them a realistic or RJP, realistic job previews. The advantage of this, of course, is makahibaw sila unsay reality and then what to expect. Next is the orientation. Formal orientation programs will help new employees understand many important aspects of their jobs and or the organization, including the organizational core values, goals, history, and the organizational structures, the power structure. So that is for the orientation. And of course, training. So nana diha sa training ang hands-on. So what are the best onboarding practices, class? First is, of course, to implement the basics prior to the first day on the job. Then, make the first day on the job special. Use formal orientation programs. Develop a written onboarding plan. So, dapat na ay plano. And make an onboarding participatory. So, just like katong nag-onboarding ko sa usa ka organization, na ay workshop na amaze ko atong ilahang muraga participative nga onboarding. Then make sure your program is consistently implemented. So we don't just create an onboarding plan, but we make sure that it is implemented well and consistently abiding with our rules and regulations and the culture, and that ensure that the program is monitored over time. Moreover, use technology to facilitate the process. No, if you will exploit facilities, the technology, you can come up with a better onboarding outcome. Next is use milestones such as 30, 60, 90, and 120 days on the job and up to 1 year post-organizational entry to check in on employee progress. So you can help the employee be motivated during these years because they have goal, no, na ma-achieve na, after ani, regular na ko. So, during those times, of course, muli kay sila og kanang mga absences, no, they will be keen sa ilahang punctuality. Then, engage stakeholders in planning and include key stakeholder meetings as part of the program. And be crystal clear with new employees in terms of the following. Objectives, of course. They should be informed sa objectives so they will know para parehas mo you're on the same page. Make sure that they know the vision and mission statements, and they will be able to assess ang ilahang performance para ma-assess pod nila how much effort ang kinahanglan nilang ihatag para maabot ang certain output, mga target. Okay, so next is timeline. Kanusa dapat ma-achieve their roles. This must be crystal clear. Their responsibilities. Okay, so that's for the best onboarding practices. So do you have any questions, class? Naapa mo yung mga questions, clarifications for our discussion today? Sabtan. Okay, so that is all for today. Thank you so much for listening. Bye-bye.